What's going on YouTube? Chris here. I want to bring you all an update today of Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So those are the three we're going to be going over. Right now Bitcoin's at 7,054. We're down 1.07%. And what we've seen again is some rejection around the $7,200 area, $7,300 area. And it's this spot right here that we had for about 3 days where we were moving sideways and we were deciding if we were going to keep those higher lows that were coming in. And this now, guys, has been acting as pretty decent overhead resistance. So that's where I talked about in the previous videos, what we really need to do is get back up above $7,500 and turn that into support. Break through it as resistance, turn into support. What I'm showing you right now is what I look at. This is my own chart. So a lot of times, guys, I'll have my own charts and then I'll also do a different one for you guys on, a separate basically chart that I'm looking at. I'll use Coinbase for one, or I'll use, Gemini or something for another one. But this is the one that I'm looking at right now. And this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see all the resistance points that I'm looking at. We have 7,172, this area right here, as overhead resistance that we now have to get back through. Then we have 7,264 that we're going to need to get over top of, and this is where we basically had a shooting star candle at the top here, and we started our sell-off again, and then it'd be that $7,500 range. So for me, those are the areas that we need to get up and through. To the downside, if we do start breaking back down, I want to see us continue to hold this 6,940, and that's where we kind of had this bullish piercing pattern that just came in on a little bit more volume. So we're going to have to see if this amounts to basically getting a bounce off this 50 moving average with a bullish piercing pattern. We'll have to see if that can be enough, but now we have these two more areas that we need to get back up above, and that's what's tough. When you don't hold them as support, then they're going to act as that overhead resistance for you, and you have to work all again to try to get back over top of them. Because what we had a trend line break out of here. Do you see how we had lower highs and lower lows? This was the trend line in yellow that I was paying attention to, and we did have a break out of this. It wasn't very significant. If we take our price range tool, when we closed our candle, we ended up going up close to about 4%. So at that point, guys, we really didn't have a true breakout, one where you'd see 20-30% to the upside with that heavy volume. So that's what I would be looking for. We did have some heavy volume down in this area, but we also still had some heavy volume selling off as well. So we didn't just have that very light volume and then another pump to the upside to challenge that 7,500. What you can also see if we back out to the 1-day time frame now, because I want to do this, that was the 4-hour time frame. This is the 1-day time frame for us. And what we're looking at is to continuously hold today this 50 moving average in pink. We don't want to start dropping back below that. That would be a bad sign, because guys, we did at support here at about 6,612. We had a bullish engulfing candle step in on some heavier volume above average. We still would have wanted to see more for a candle like that. But you can see we've just really been in that fight. So we came up and we couldn't set a higher high. We failed there. We're coming back down. So now we're going to try to set a higher low and at least get in an equilibrium pattern and wait for that next break. But as we're looking this on the 1-day time frame, you can see if you were long here, this is where a volatility stop. It's an indicator that I like to use. It'd have you down around 6,451 is where they would have your stop, and that's basically calculating all the volatility that you'd have throughout this. And you can do it on the 1-hour time frame, the 4, the 1 day. It's something that I really like to look at. But you can see how this area right here, this $6,900 range, is going to be important to see if we can set a higher low there. If we fail there, then I'd be looking down to that 6,612 to see if we can get some type of hold off that area, some type of support. But it's not uncommon, guys. You'll even see it when we have trendline breaks. You'll break out and then you'll actually back test it, and then you'll try to move forward again. So that's still a possibility. Right now it is just a dogfight between the bulls and the bears. You can see we've been at this area for quite a while. So the upper range, we're going to be looking at 7,444. We're going to need to break up through, and then support range, we're going to be looking at about 6,612, and that's going to be the channel that I'm going to be paying attention to now. Remember, we still have this 200 moving average acting as overhead resistance. And on the 1 day, I want to get into just a couple indicators here. You do it fast. We're going to take a look at the MACD, see how that's looking. So MACD is still in bullish territory. As you see, we got our cross back here. It was March 20th, and since then we have been up above. We have not dropped back down through. We've had quite a little fight here on the histogram, how we pumped up really hard and then we dropped back down. We're trying to get back up again now, turn a little bit more neutral. So MACD, just keeping an eye on that, waiting to see if we do get one of those downward crosses. Now in terms of our stock RSI, it's one I really like to pay attention to as well. We are potentially going to get today a downside cross here, but we're going to have to wait and see. And then what you can also do is kind of correlate that with the candles that you're having when you get that cross to the downside. Something you really need to pay attention to. So that's Bitcoin, guys. Those are the areas that I'm looking at. Like I said, support, resistance. I'm out of the market right now, patiently waiting and just going to see which way the whales are really going to push this market, because I believe with the halving and everything coming up, could get crazy in either direction. So just really be cautious right now. That's the main thing I'm going to say for Bitcoin. Then we're going to move into Litecoin next. And guys, if you get something from that, you like me covering 3 like this, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let me know down low if you prefer just when I cover Bitcoin or Litecoin, or if you like when I do the 3, and also just to help out on the algorithm, even if you give a thumbs up or anything, that really helps. I appreciate it. So let's get into Litecoin now. Take a look at this. Litecoin's at 41.67. And we're going to start in on the 4-hour time frame. The reason I like the 4-hour time frame is because it just gives you a bigger picture. Gives you more of the price movement, and that's what I really like to see. So, guys, lower highs still coming in here. Higher lows have been coming in, so we're almost getting in that squeezing effect. Could almost get into like a symmetrical triangle. We would need another touchdown in this area. And obviously we're looking at this from a little bit longer standpoint. We have 1, 2, 3 touches here, but we're just getting into this apex area where we're having the lower highs and higher lows, so we could get that squeezing effect. And this was out of the ascending triangle. We broke out of the ascending triangle and came back, and it's basically been like a busted pattern, but this bottom area has held. And that area of support is going to be at about $38.85. I really wouldn't want to drop much below that area, because then we can start getting into these ranges of 36, 35, somewhere in those spots, and that could break pretty hard and pretty fast. And then to the upside, what we're going to be looking at is to get up above, we call it now, since we had a couple failures, we'll call it $43.10, and then it'd be up around $44.51. And then now, guys, the main peak that we need to get over, like for Bitcoin, how it's at 7,500, we need to get up above $46.78 is going to be the area that we need to see. And in either way here, if we break to the upside, I want it and we need it to be on heavy volume. Number one thing I'm going to look for. Downside breaks, they don't always have to be on heavy volume, because the market naturally falls upon its own way. You have to have that buying pressure to really keep it up. I was reading about this last night, and it will show that it could be even more aggressive if you have that heavy downside volume break, but it can even go hard, 10, 15, 20% to the downside on lighter volume. So that's something that you do want to pay attention to. But for Litecoin, we're sitting right now pretty close to that support of the 200 moving average on the 4-hour time frame. And that's going to put us at about $40.67. So that may be an area of support right here that I'd look at, and then it'd be down around that 39.02. In terms of the indicators, I'm going to take a look at our stock. Our stock is oversold. We're at 10 and 15 right now. We have not had a bullish cross to the upside though yet. Relative strength, we're at 44. Guys, same deal. You can see the lower highs that have been coming in, and now we're getting these higher lows right here. If we can hold this area of 39 on the RSI, and then we'll go into our MACD, take a look at that. MACD, we have had our bearish cross to the downside, histogram ticking negatively, and that's obviously from this move that we just saw. But still, same deal, almost one of these equilibrium patterns, just kind of really waiting to see which direction we're going to break, because we're kind of floating in this area between $46.67 and $38.97. So if I were you, I'd almost put alarms and alerts on those and see what we're doing once we get to those critical levels. So that's Litecoin now, guys. Still being patient, waiting for a great opportunity. We're going to see here, this potentially could almost be a little harami pattern, but we would need that continuation. And you can see our volatility stop here. We are in that downtrend volatility stop. If you were shorting this, would be at $43.25 is what you'd be looking at there. So next, guys, we're going to go into Ethereum. If you like me covering Litecoin, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, guys. Let's find a good ETH chart for us here with a little bit of data. So for Ethereum, what we would need to get up above is $184, and then it'd be up here around that $187, we'll call it $188. If we're able to get up above that area, then we could definitely run into the 200s. And guys, it could even be as quick. I know we had a little bear flag here, but if it's a strong move on heavy volume, the real target would be up here around $247. is what we potentially could go up if we can continue to keep these higher highs and higher lows in. Ethereum's looking better than most right now. If we take a look at this, we're trading on the 4-hour up above the 20, and we're up above the 50 right there. If we move out to the 1-day time frame, let's take a look at this. So for Ethereum, we're up above the 200-day moving average. We had a nice candle close up above it. That was good. So what we need to do now is hold that as support, and that's going to be at $172. So let's put an alarm there. We want to hold that as support, and it's also this area before that was resistance that we broke up through. So let's add that in. And then to the upside, we would need to get up above $190. Right there, we'll throw an alert in. So this is the range I'm going to be paying attention to right now. We have our 20 crossing up through our 50 right there. It'd be nice to see our 50 start getting back up above the 200, but it's nice for Ethereum that we're trading up above the 50 and the 200. We're not doing that in the other coins right now. So that's definitely something we're going to be paying attention to in terms of indicators now. We're going to look at our relative strength index. RSI, still making those higher lows, higher highs. So, you know, what we would need to get up above is about 64 on the RSI, and we're right now at about 58. So that'd be the overhead resistance area that we would need to break up through. And we'll take a look at the stock. Stock RSI, we're starting to get a little bit of a downward cross right now. So you're seeing a downward cross with a bearish candle up here at resistance. So that's something that we do need to pay attention to. And that's why, guys, still I'm patiently waiting. I would like to see if we could get over top of this 189 and see if we can really make a nice move up into those 200s there. That would be the sweet spot because we dropped so hard so fast here. Might be an area that we can really get up and through fairly fast. And then we'll take a look at the MACD. MACD still in the positive. So we did have our bullish cross there. We're still up. We have not crossed to the downside yet. So I would say Ethereum's ahead of, you know, Bitcoin and Litecoin right now. If you're looking at something, we need to hold these areas as support. We don't want to start dropping back down through that 50 moving average. That could be tough. The volatility stop that we have right now, if you were to enter along, be around $158.30 right now is what we'd be paying attention to. And on the 1 day, we are still in that uptrend. So that's why you can see that volatility stop on the lower end here. That will tell you the trend and identify the trend. And then if you go into even the 1 hour here and you take a look at this, and we'll take a look where it's at. So we've been in a downtrend here, right? Lower highs, lower lows, and you can see it up above. And your volatility stop there would be at $180 if you were going short. And that just kind of protects you. It factors everything in. It'll kind of tell you the trend as well. So if you guys get some from this, really appreciate it. If you guys would like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Really helps out the channel. Leave a thumbs up. Leave anything for the algorithm. Helps me out, guys. It's awesome being here with you today, and I hope to do a live stream soon. So I'm working on all that, and we'll see what we get to in the coming days. God bless you all. Take care.